From the makers of the Matrix, no news yet. But I am in possession of an immortal chicken. No, it's not a euphemism for something rude. These things do go together. They are a glimpse of the kind of knowing humour on offer in Breathedge. It catches you off guard as you watch the opening cinematic of yourself being dragged towards an interrogation by some robots made from coffins. You'll find out what I mean later. Breathedge is a space survival sandbox game, where you are constantly seeking out materials from the wreckage of this spaceship you crashed in to survive and improve your situation.
Remember that the funerary spacesuit isn't designed for long-term use of persons or animals in outer space. It is recommended to immediately call for help on the interphone, improve the spacesuit, or become depressed.
It inevitably involves crafting essential equipment and tools to allow you to progress, and in this sense, it is rather linear and fairly standard, especially in the early levels.
Just the antenna, you'll have to go into outer space.
You are given a set of tasks to complete, largely in a pre-designed order, and you are prevented by distance and no knowledge of location from accessing other areas until crafting progression allows. This is in standard mode, which is the story mode of the game. Here, there really isn't much of the base building that you might expect in a sandbox crafter. Rather, you use bases that you discover. Breathedge does offer a variety of play options, though, which will level story and freedom against permadeath, unlocked achievements, and base building, so there is an alternative. Breathedge is, graphically, a downright gorgeous-looking game right from the get-go. The premise is that you have survived an explosion on the largest spaceship in human history, which, it transpires, was a funerary ship. Appropriate. You were on it delivering your father's coffin when the explosion occurred, and now you must survive. Progress, like any sandbox crafter, is slow and quite contained at first, but it opens up at a decent rate once you get past the first chapter. Your problems scale with progress as you move from simply surviving and getting home to uncovering and becoming embroiled in far bigger machinations as the game switches from a crafting exploration game to a more linear adventure game in its final few sections. A common frustration of sandbox crafters is the ability to obtain enough of the right resources. In Breathedge, common sense developers have prevailed here, and the resources divide into two categories. Firstly, the basics to survive: ice, various nutritional elements for crafting into food, and various metal and chemicals for tools. These basics are in plentiful supply and often floating freely around you. You won't run out. Secondly, the other stuff: materials for crafting into bigger items once you've discovered the blueprints. Plastic, copper wiring, rubber, paint, etc. These things are found next to or attached to items of space debris. So there is some clarity about where to look for stuff that you need, and the in-game encyclopedia also offers visual clues on where to find them.
There's an engineering shuttle ahead. I wonder how you find everything so quickly. Is it because of my hints?
This clarity means that progression is always possible and never too far away. There are some gripes about unnecessary time wasting that falsely lengthen the game time for no purpose.
Well, I'm not sure this is a good time to comment.
And it is all over the place. Journey time is one particular complaint. It does take a long time to travel anywhere initially, and repeatedly having to return to your base to refill oxygen on top of that is annoying. Planning and crafting to bridge what, in the early part of the game, seems a vast distance and discover a new base takes a long time. And once you get there, you realise you need to return to transfer your fat stack of collected resources over several journeys. It is most definitely annoying. I mean, having unlocked or completed an area, what is the point in making me travel delicately 4 minutes back to my original base just to collect some resources? This is space and the future, albeit a 1950s Soviet stylized one. So why, once I have securely moved on in the game and discovered more bases, can I not activate a fast travel system? This needless wasting of time is present all over the place. In the actual crafting, where every object created needs a 5-second wait to be built. If you're waiting to make several components, you'll be waiting several minutes. for no reason at all. Health is another example. It is restored by sleep, but you literally have to wait a minute, staring at a screen, doing nothing more than spinning a sand timer for a minute in order to recover your health. It serves no purpose except to waste time, at least until you get the medical box blueprint to craft instant healing. It is for this reason, I think, that some major reviewers have been unkind to Breathedge, but I think they've got it wrong. You see, any complaint about this artificial and imposed pointless game lengthening, which I think is valid, is dispelled shortly after completing Chapter 1. Very quickly after this point, you discover a second base and rapidly open up triple the length of time on oxygen, bigger spare tanks to carry, and even discover a vacuum cleaner rocket bike and begin whizzing around at quadruple the speed like some sort of space Hagrid. So all of the complaints rapidly recede, and the only annoyance that remains is the short wait time for crafting items. But that, by virtue of being the only one, becomes trifling as the game opens up into a vast multitude of tasks to complete and places to investigate. It isn't as if you have to do a stupid 3-minute puzzle every time you want to buy items cheaper. Yes, I mean you, BioShock. And if it doesn't spoil that game, then I can assure you by Chapter 2 crafting items won't be bothering you here either. Aside from that, the developers are responsive to the community, and a recent update has increased the oxygen and tool durability in the early stages to improve your experience. In all, Breathedge is a wondrous game of beauty, discovery and adventure. The college humour does jar at times, but like the annoyances of the early stages, this too dissipates and a more confident game emerges. In Breathedge, there is always something to keep you going, and I have lost hours into the early morning on repeated nights playing this because I felt like I was just about to crack a puzzle, or that if I could just investigate that thing over there, just finish off this last part of the task, I will have made significant advancement, and I could close the day happy. Each achievement in Breathedge feels significant, and getting that feel and commitment for a player is the sign of a good game. You'll get about 30 plus hours out of Breathedge, and the developers are planning 2 free expansions later this year. It isn't a perfect game or consistent, and in some ways that's a good thing. So if you can see past the jarring frustrations of the first chapter, somewhat now patched, you will be rewarded with a visually stunning adventure based largely on a solid crafting background. It's worth your time and you will enjoy it. I still don't know why they give you an immortal chicken, but it is good for shorting out flayed electrics on space debris. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up for this video, and if you want to be the first to see our new stuff, then subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications.